Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life. Let's watch.
May I find mystic love?
Coyote is different, and that's what I like about her. She likes the mystic rocks and sage. She's...
Another part, potentially, of love bombing is to completely adopt another person's point of view and religion, which it looks like is what he's doing in a fake way, a way of trying to garner, positive opinions from the other person. You're chameleonizing yourself to someone else's life, either from there's two different ways of chameleoning. There's one where you just lack a self, so you don't really know who you are or what you want, and you're just like, well, I might as well do what's, in fact, there's some people where they take comfort in being able to chameleon themselves to someone else because it gives them something to do, something to identify with. And then there are other people where they kind of know that they're not really into it, but they're like, well, this could impress them, so this is what I'm going to do.
obviously beautiful. She's a single parent, so am I. We have a connection.
Wait, where are we going?
Hey, Teddy, you want to go to Mexico? You want to go to Mexico?
So again, he said, we have a connection. Maybe they do. It seems unlikely that anyone would know that at this point. And it would be imprudent to think that based on what I believe to be very awkward, non-bilingual, meaning that they don't speak each other's language very well, Zoom calls.
And she loves dogs. She has I think she has 6 little dogs.
Oh, I think it's a very positive situation you're in right now. It's like destiny, right?
Yeah, but you're making me nervous.
So it's interesting to think about how the mom fits in with his personality. You know, we don't have much data there. She's certainly doting and nice and accommodating. And he is doing something that I think most people, including his friend, is like, maybe pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, it's fine if you fall in love with this person, but you don't know. And there's a lot of potential barriers here. You live in different countries. You don't speak each other's language. You know, maybe extremely different cultural backgrounds and understandings of what life is like. Anyway, but the mom doesn't say that. Mom is like, this could be destiny. And it's possible that it is his destiny. I don't know what his destiny is. But it's also possible that for her, she has something going on with her that causes her to be non-scrutinizing of him. Maybe she feels guilty, or she feels like she needs to accommodate someone else, or something's going on there maybe that can couple well with defensive structures of self-grandiosity and supply that might complement him. I don't know though. But it's just interesting that she's like, oh, this could be destiny. It's like, I don't know if anyone watching would believe that to be true. I mean, it could work out, but I wouldn't bet money on it.
Coyote is, she's older. And I'm so excited that Ed is going to go meet a Mexican girl.
Here I go again. I am moving fast, but I have to do this because I don't want to give up on love.
Another red flag, potentially. I don't want to give up on love. So it's a very black and white perspective of I want to believe because I don't want to give up on love, instead of, yeah, I'm not going to give up on love, but I don't know this person. Like, maybe things will work out, but it probably won't. But we'll see. There's some promising signs there, but I don't even know this person yet. But it's that black and white. It's like I'm either all in because I need to believe, or I'm in the depths of my despair and no one will ever love me. He's gone there before, right? We've seen him in that state.
You only live once, and my time now is to make a move.
And we've seen Darcy do that as well. We've seen her in the depths of her despair. No one will ever love me. Why do I even try? And then there's this other side of, oh my God, you're the best ever. You're just so wonderful, and everything you do is romantic and the best, and this is so fabulous. And, and those two modes are sometimes a sign of relational traumas that and schemas that nothing will ever work out for you relationally. And it's sort of like, what would it be like? It's like you're extremely poor and you can't buy food, and you've heard about, so sometimes people will turn to the lottery, or you'll get a letter in the mail that will say something like, you won a sweepstakes or something, and you're just so desperate for some way out of the poverty and the horribleness that you believe. You're like, oh, this is my chance, or lottery, or whatever it is. You just, because so many problems could be solved if it were true. So you just kind of hand yourself over, like, I need some reason to have hope. And I don't know if that's what we're seeing right now.
I'm not ready to turn my back on potential love, and I don't want her to get away.
Another sign, I don't want her to get away, even though I don't know if I like her or not, right?
Okay, we'll see you later, Mom.
Okay, Pony, have a great time. It's going to be wonderful, Pony. Well, I think he's nervous about meeting Kaori, mostly because he's afraid it's going to be a failure, like with Rose and Liz.
Yeah, we're seeing more of her trying to help him with that, instead of having an attitude of like, well, things might work, things might not work. You barely know her, but, dating is fun, and I believe you're a great person, and someone will eventually. Instead, she's like, it's going to be great. And so we see that more. I don't know if I showed that clip, but we also hear her recognizing that she sees that he's really scared of it not working, and has a lot of eggs in this basket with this person that he barely knows. And instead of helping him to be more realistic about it, more nuanced, more of a gray zone, she has this, everything's going to be great, everything's going to be great. And you just wonder, who knows, if this is indicative of a frequent thing that she did. I think I've talked about this before. Maybe actually someone suggested this in the comment section, that given his issue with, he has some condition regarding his neck, right? Like it's not mobile. I don't know the word for it, but I'm not a physician, but she might have, who knows, felt bad for him growing up. Maybe he was bullied, and she felt like she had to overcompensate constantly for that by saying everything's going to be great. And I've seen this before, where it's hard to know like the best course of action. When a child is being bullied and when they're going through difficult times, you of course as a parent want to protect them from that and want to help them with that. But where's the line between trying to pump them up and falsely giving them ideas of how the world works? I don't know, but it's a pretty vague question that I have, but we'll add it and we'll keep an eye on it.
Cried on my shoulder, and it was just brokenhearted.
So I kind of interrupted what she was saying, but she was saying, he cried on my shoulder. It was very hard. He's brokenhearted. More evidence that behind the scenes, it's consistent with what we've seen on camera of how much devastation he feels emotionally when things don't work out for him, which points to a desperation that is there when he starts dating.
My first date, traveled all this way to get here, and I'm looking around going, what in the hell am I doing? Like, was this worth it? Is this a sign?
Rain sucks.
I will say, if everyone in Seattle had that attitude, no one would ever date at all, because it's frequently raining here. And I will say that when it rains in other places, like I've been in Mexico when it's rained, it's a different kind of rain. It's heavier, but it's also in the midst of warm weather. So it feels different. It feels more like refreshing in a way. in Seattle, like we're right now in the midst of the 9 months out of the year where it's gray and, 48 degrees and, 50% of the time it's drizzly. I like it. I'm born and raised here, but it's just interesting. He's from San Diego, where I understand. I've been to San Diego before. It's pretty dry and it can be very hot, particularly when you go inland. So it's just interesting to see people reacting to rain. It's like, oh, it's raining. It's Seattle. It's like, if rain hindered your life, you wouldn't go anywhere except for the 2 months out of the year when it's summer. Hey, Deserving listeners, as y'all know, I am constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. Well, one of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp. If you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to betterhelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the promo code Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it really helps us out. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, which is great because you deserve it. And I know also that it can be hard to find a good fit, find the right one for you. Well, one of the options available in terms of your shopping is to go to betterhelp.com/Kirk. I've been told you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message your counselor at any time. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. I've also been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy, and you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide. So go to betterhelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month today.
And there's...
Muchas gracias.
De nada, de nada.
Es un regalo muy especial para mí.
So with Rose and Liz, I definitely tried to impress them with money, but Coyote would have saw right through me if I'm getting her a Gucci handbag. She would most likely be offended.
All right, so more love bombing talk of gifts and showering and all this kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with giving people gifts, of course, but when you look at the constellation of behaviors and perhaps evidence of his desperation and behind the veil of his charm and his positive attitude is a mode where he feels like no one will ever love him, then we can say, well, maybe another sign of that desperation. He seems to be aware of it, though. He's like, in the past, I would do this sort of thing, a shower with gifts, and I'm not. So, but it's interesting you say that she would see through it. Actually, that's a little alarming, because I think what he's saying is, well, she's older, so she would see through it. Not necessarily, but I guess the opposite might be a little true of just like, younger people might be more susceptible or something. I don't know if that, I don't know if that makes any sense. I'd have to see research on that, but that alarms me because he perhaps dated younger women thinking, knowing, or hoping that they would be naive and would be more susceptible to his tricks. And he's saying that with Coyote that she wouldn't be. Obviously she sees that. So that's alarming. But it kind of fits. I'm surely that's what a lot of people think of him, is that he was dating so that he could control. And it's possible. And, So, but it's interesting that he's saying, I used to do that. I'm not doing that anymore. And but he's still giving gifts. He's like, well, she would see through that, so I'm giving her this other kind of gift. Like, I don't understand what he's saying. He's still getting her gifts, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it would be perhaps more wise for him to say, you know what, I'm still kind of in this desperation mode that I usually get, and I'm toning it down a little bit, but I still feel that energy. And I got her a gift, which isn't great, but I'm trying to work on it. If I heard that, I'd be more encouraged. But he seems to be kind of in denial of, he recognized, maybe in therapy, or I don't know, he's like, in the past, I did this thing where I would, love bomb or gift give or whatever out of desperation. But this time I'm not doing it because she would see through it, but I'm giving her gifts.
Or feel bought.
Oh, gracias.
I think with the Mystic Rocks, it has a lot more meaning. And that's really what I'm trying to do, is show her that I listen to her and respect her way of thinking.
Again, it sounds like he's contrasting it with Rose and Liz, that by contrast, he wasn't really interested in who they were as people. It was more instrumental. He saw them as more instrumental in his life in terms of getting his needs met. And I actually interrupted him, but he talked about, well, let's rewind that, because let's hear that whole sentence.
She would most likely be offended or feel bought.
Oh, gracias.
Right. So I don't think he knows that, but he's imagining, maybe because of her age, that if he bought her a Gucci handbag, something expensive, then that would be insulting to her because it would make her feel bought. Whereas I'm contrasting this with my behavior towards Rose, particularly, that I was maybe consciously hoping that she would feel bought. And I remember thinking that at the time, and we're seeing more, and especially as he talks about it right here, evidence that because, and this is my hypothesis, I don't know, I'd have to ask him, he believes, due to past relationship traumas, that he is not lovable, that he needs to find someone that will need him, someone that he can buy, someone who is perhaps naive, someone who is in a desperate situation, and that's the only way that he can get someone to love him. And at the same time, once he finds someone that kind of locks in with that idea of just like, oh, okay, no one's going to love me for who I am, just who I am. I have to be helpful or something, monetarily or green card or something. And then as he is in a relationship with Rose, he still is in that space of I'm not lovable, and I'm just trying to conceptualize this behavior, the toothbrush thing and then the STD thing. Well, who knows? But when you're treated poorly, you'll believe that you're not important, and you'll also internalize the person who was mistreating you. Maybe it was his dad. He talked about his dad being stern. Who knows? A lot of dads are stern. But who knows? But maybe he internalized that, well, I guess stern would kind of fit with that, this judgmental, critical, rejecting other. And then when you internalize that, you'll exhibit that behavior. It'll become a part of your personality, but you'll be in denial of it because you saw it and you didn't like it when you were the recipient of that. You internalize that and then you act it out, and it feels congruent with like fairness. So that would be a hypothesis. Anyway.
I think with the Mystic Rocks, it has a lot more meaning. And that's really what I'm trying to do, is show her that I listen to her and respect her way of thinking.
Okay, good motive, good plan, but how about you just talk with her? This gestures of I'm listening to you instead of just like actually listening. But who knows? I guess we'll see what happens here.
Here we go. Te ves de 22. Te ves de... You look 22.
Okay. In light of other things that we've heard and think about and that I've reacted to, it's just another kind of, I don't know, who knows? He's trying to be nice. He's trying to compliment her. I don't know if she'll receive it that way, but it's just interesting that that's what he says.
Your skin is muy bonita.
De hecho, in fact, my skin was more beautiful than now.
No.
Yes,
No.
because I was swimming, nadaba
Sí.
mucho in the sun.
So, okay, there's different ways to date, and he's the sort of dater who wants to potentially love bomb, and so he's very complimentary. It feels anxious, does it not? To me, given what we've seen already, it's like and it's normal to be nervous on the first date, and maybe it helps her, but I don't know. She seems like she just wants to have a real conversation. He's like, "You look 22," and she's like, "Oh, thank you." Anyway. And he's like, "Oh, you have beautiful skin." She's like, "Well, thanks. Well, it used to be better, but and he's in this mode of like, no, I have to prove that I'm in love with her and that she's the best, and that's my ticket in." Instead of just like, just relax. You're okay. one way to frame this, and it's just the hypothesis, is he might believe, and a lot of love bombers believe this, that the only way someone will love me is if I am useful to them in some way. And one of the ways that we can resort to being useful is I will be their cheerleader. I will always be pumping them up. I will be telling them how great they are and how wonderful they are and how pretty they are and how young they look. That is how I can get people to love me. People won't love me just because of who I am. So I have to be something. I have to be constantly on my grind. So let's see what happens.
Whenever you want. Like I'm
Swimming
competencies. Competition.
competition.
Sí,
You and me.
let's go.
Swimming.
Come on.
First place.
Carlo can be the judge.
Yo puedo ser primer lugar.
Whoa. What? I mean, I have chills. This is scary. Wait, so we'll see what happens. So we see some, I think, restaurant employees coming into the camera. They're like, and then we hear what sounds to be a gunshot. And so maybe there's a robbery going on outside or in the restaurant. I mean, oh my goodness. This reminds me of that Paul and Carini scene back in the day, right? Yeah, this is, I mean, presumably nothing happens, right? Because they wouldn't be showing it, right? On the show if someone got injured.
Ay, Dios mío. Ay, señor. Ay, Dios mío, no puede ser.
Okay. Who knows what happened there? Could have been on the street, could have been in the restaurant. Sounds like they're okay. Sounds like the police are responding. Wow, scary.
Let's pray. Señor Jesús, Padre Santo, Señor, por favor, Señor, sé cubriéndonos en tu manto.
Next time on 90
Well, I mean, again, I assume everyone's okay. Otherwise, we would have heard about it in the news if Ed or Coyote had been shot or something. So, but wow, that's scary. And for everyone, the crew, the camera people, all the other people, and the restaurant, that's pretty awful. All right, well, that is it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.